You're in a conversation where someone pushes a comment just a little too far. They pause, waiting for you to react, explain, or defend yourself. Instead, you stay silent and hold eye contact. The room shifts, but no one names it. In many social interactions, especially where status is unclear, people test boundaries through small provocations. A remark is framed as humor, concern, or honesty, but its function is diagnostic. They are watching for emotional movement, justification, irritation, or compliance. Human psychology treats reaction as information. Whoever reacts first usually reveals their position. Silence disrupts this process because it removes data. In social behavior, uncertainty is uncomfortable, particularly for those who rely on control. When no emotional signal is returned, the other person cannot calibrate their next move. This is not about dominance displays, but about regulation of emotional control. The absence of response forces self-awareness onto the instigator. Manipulative behavior depends on rhythm, action, reaction, adjustment. Silence breaks that rhythm without confrontation. From a psychological standpoint, it shifts cognitive load back onto the person seeking leverage. They begin monitoring themselves instead of managing you. Respect often grows not from assertion, but from composure under pressure. A manipulator introduces a subtle jab and then waits. Most people fill the space immediately, offering explanations, laughter, or soft resistance. They try to smooth the moment, unaware that they are cooperating. The reaction reassures the other person that the lever works. Control is confirmed through responsiveness. Now imagine a work meeting where a colleague says, "You're quiet today, everything okay?" The usual response is reassurance or disclosure, but the silent response is different. A pause, neutral expression, no correction. The question hangs in the air without friction. The psychological effect is mild discomfort, followed by self-correction. What happens next is telling. The colleague often backtracks, clarifies, or changes the subject. They sense they've overreached, though nothing was said. Your silence signals emotional self-sufficiency. In social dynamics, that is read as quiet authority. What most people miss is that silence is not passive. It actively withholds emotional feedback that manipulators depend on to orient themselves. Without that feedback, they lose their internal map of the interaction. They cannot tell whether they impressed, offended, or unsettled you. That ambiguity quietly reverses pressure. Before silence, the dynamic is simple. They speak, you respond, and they adjust their approach accordingly. Each response trains them how to handle you. After silence, the training stops. They are forced to guess, and guessing introduces restraint. Over time, perception shifts without announcement. You are no longer categorized as reactive or manageable. You become someone whose inner state is not easily accessed. In human psychology, opacity is often mistaken for depth. That misinterpretation works in your favor. Over repeated interactions, silence changes how others approach you. They begin choosing their words more carefully, out of fear, but caution. The casual probing decreases because it no longer produces useful outcomes. Your presence starts to slow the pace of interaction. That slowdown subtly redistributes power. In group settings, this effect compounds. People who once spoke over you begin leaving space, not because you demanded it, but because interruption feels riskier. Silence makes escalation awkward and exposure more likely. Those who seek control prefer environments that move quickly. Long term, the dynamic stabilizes. You are treated as someone who does not need to prove alignment or innocence. Expectations shift toward maturity and self-command. This is how respect often forms in adult social systems. Not through assertion, but through the absence of desperation. The most common mistake is turning silence into a performance. People force it, stiffen their posture, exaggerate calm. They stop speaking, but their face leaks tension and intent. What feels controlled to them reads as suppressed reaction. Manipulators recognize that immediately. Another error is breaking silence too late, with an explanation. After holding the pause, they rush to justify it. This restores the original imbalance. The silence becomes a setup instead of a boundary. Control returns to whoever provoked the moment. Silence only works when it is unprotective, not strategic, not hostile, waiting for effect. It is simply the absence of emotional participation. When silence is used to win, it fails. When it reflects self-containment, it ends the exchange. Silence is not withdrawal. It is the refusal to offer access where none was earned. Those who rely on manipulation sense this immediately, even if they cannot explain it. They become careful, then distant, then neutral. That is often the most stable outcome. You do not need to correct, expose, or dominate. You only need to remain internally settled while nothing happens. In that stillness, pressure has nowhere to land. What remains is a clean, adult interaction. And that is usually enough.